Hi guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com, and I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending January 30th, 2017. This is episode number 80 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week is from Kakao Games regarding Black Desert Online. As you all probably guessed, since we mentioned it last week, the Magoria expansion for the game is finally live on North American and European servers. Players can now take to the seas and work together with their guilds to build ships and participate in guild versus guild naval battles. The Magoria expansion also adds over 100 new quests, enhanced life skills, and much more. Matt has actually returned to BDO recently and has told me about the game's player base and that it's still quite large. He's having a lot of fun with the game. The price for BDO has come down a lot since launch and can actually be bought for about $5 during sales. So if you haven't played BDO yet, it's worth the $5 in my opinion, but I still think it'll go free to play later this year, but that's just my personal speculation. Next up, some industry news from Super Data Research that came out this last week. The free-to-play market continues to grow and in fact grew 7% year over year. In addition to that broad overview, we got some interesting data about digital collectible card games. Most notably, Hearthstone earned a whopping $395 million in revenue in 2016, which makes it the most popular card game, which is not too surprising, but the number 2 game in the digital CCG space may surprise you. It's actually Shadowverse, earning about $100 million despite launching halfway through the year. I actually really enjoy Shadowverse, so I'm glad to see it doing so well. I think the decision to actually give players a ton of free cards was a key reason behind its success, as it made people willing to give the game a try, as people don't like grinding quests for countless hours just to get enough cards to make a deck. Another interesting bit of data from the research report was that 7.6% of players that play these digital card games spend money, and of those people that spend money, they spend on average of $34.22, which I thought was all pretty interesting. And this is also why every company is rushing out to make collectible card games, because Hearthstone is making tons of money, and they see now Shadowverse is making lots of money, so they all want to get in on it. Up next, in some more traditional MMORPG news, Aion's 5.3 update is set to launch soon and will feature a 384-player PvE instance. Not sure where they got the number 384 exactly, but that's going to be it. Also included will be a new queue for players to enter the Arena of Tenacity, where factions challenge each other in gladiatorial duels. And as with any major update, new equipment, quests, and other goodies will also be introduced. Unfortunately, all we know is that the update is coming soon, which I suspect means we'll learn a lot more about it sometime in February, and we'll probably get a release date then as well. Moving right along, Next on America announced that Hyper Universe is coming to the West later this year. For those that haven't heard of the game, it's a side-scrolling MOBA where teams of 4 battle against each other. Interestingly, the game was already playable at PAX South, so progress on the Western launch is already pretty far along. Upcoming beta tests will be announced relatively soon as well. Unfortunately, no release dates on those just yet. If you want to learn more about the game, check out our Sunday Funday video for it. Hopefully we'll see even more Next on Korea games making their way over to the West this year. I'm actually hoping for more news on MapleStory 2, but we'll have to wait to see if we get anything. Next up, also in Next on related news, Riders of Icarus just launched its Sandstorm update this last week, which included a new field boss called, you guessed it, Sandstorm. A new PvP zone is also available called Sigia, Land of the Dead, which is a server versus server arena zone available to players level 40 and higher. Servers that actually triumph in Mana Stone PvP battles every Saturday will win a 6-day Glory of the Triumph buff, which grants everyone on the winning server bonuses such as increased drop rates for rare items, attack speed, defense bonuses, and more. A new solo challenge for level 50 players and higher has also been added, but most importantly, they've added a cross-server dungeon lobby, which I think is an excellent addition because it should speed up those queues quite a bit. Rise of Icarus is still averaging about 2,000 players concurrently on Steam alone, and a bunch more on Nexon's own launcher, so if you haven't played the game, it's still popular and it may be a great time to check it out. Next up, Star Trek Online, which is still a thing and has been a thing for a while now, began its 12th season called Reckoning this last week, which takes players to an unexplored region of the Alpha Quadrant, where they will encounter and fight the Zen Kethai, a highly intelligent, warp-capable species. They aren't a major race in the TV series, as I've actually seen every TV series and I had to actually look up who they were, despite being a big fan of the show. Key features of the update include a new crafting school, 2 new space queues, 2 daily anniversary missions, a new science vessel, and more. The update went live last week, so if you play Star Trek Online, you got a bunch of new stuff to play with. Next, Blade & Soul's next major update, Wings of the Raven, is set to go live on February 8th, which is about 8 days from now. The update will introduce not 1, but 2 new 24-player dungeons, as well as a new legendary upgrade path with new legendary accessories and a bunch of other goodies. The main villain of the update is the Raven King, which you probably guessed by the title. But again, the update itself is launching on February 8th, and expect full patch notes when that actually happens. Moving right along, we have some gameplay footage for Dauntless, a game by Phoenix Labs which is entering closed alpha testing relatively soon and an eventual release date in 2017. It's a Monster Hunter-esque game and it's the first time we're seeing some actual gameplay. Though we can't play Monster Hunter online because that's only in China through Tencent, we will have a chance to play something like it at least. It will be free to play and it's kinda like Monster Hunter, and that's all we really know about the game, and we'll know more when we can actually play it ourselves. But it does look pretty good and I am glad that it's going to be free to play. Up next, in mobile game news, we have Sword Art Online Memory Defrag now available in English. It's actually the only mobile game news that we have this week, but it is a Sword Art Online game. It's free to play, and Shu has been playing it quite a bit since it launched, and she swears by it. And I actually checked it out. It wasn't bad, but it is a hero collector, and hero collectors are personally not my thing. But if you're interested in it, do check it out. It's free to play, and the gameplay is actually not bad either, because the core gameplay actually does require a lot of skill. I'll probably end up doing a first look video for it relatively soon. And the other really cool thing about this is it actually has real-time multiplayer with your friends, rather than like the pseudo-nonsense multiplayer we've seen in a lot of mobile games where they get controlled by an AI or something. The silliest thing about the game, though, in my opinion, is the absurd name, Memory Defrag. We're defragging that memory, guys. We're doing it. Up next, in a blast to the past, we have 12 Sky 2 Classic launching on Steam. The game was available originally through Area Games back in 2009. It's a cult classic because even after Area Games shut it down, it was picked up by the developer and then moved around publishers, and it's been around for a while, but now the game is on Steam through Red Fox Games. Since its launch on Steam, it really hasn't expanded to a bigger player base. It peaked at about 40 players online. It's been hitting about 20 to 40. It's an older game, but I'm glad it's on Steam. I don't think too many new players are going to jump into it. But if you do play 12 Sky 2, God bless, and you can now play it on Steam. I do think we'll see more and more of these older games launch on Steam because everyone's doing it, and it does make it much more convenient for players. Up next, a small bit of news for a game called Ship of Heroes. It's showing off its character creator. Keep in mind, though, this is one of the many projects out there that are trying to be the successor to City of Heroes. This one is set aboard a spaceship, though, which is going to be its differentiating aspect. All we have is a character creator and nothing else. In fact, they are not even aiming to reach alpha state until 2018. There are a lot of games trying to be the successor to City of Heroes, and none of them are actually really far along. I'm curious to see if any of these potential City of Heroes successors actually comes out. Personally, I'm not too optimistic that any of these will actually happen, but time will tell. I'm moving right along a bit of news for Overwatch. Some industry news, actually, since the game hit a player base of 25 million, up from 20 million back in October. So in those few months, they sold 5 million copies, and I suspect many of those were due to Christmas sales, which brought the game down from $40 to $30, and the Origins Edition went from $60 to $40. I'm curious to see if they'll maintain momentum in 2017, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm still hoping it'll go free to play, but I am probably a lone voice in that. But I'm actually still playing Overwatch and having a lot of fun with it. I'm a fan of all the new Chinese New Year skins and the new Capture the Flag map, which is a lot of fun. I like the arcade modes a lot. But yeah, 25 million players. Not bad at all, but that's counting PC and consoles. Up next, a bit of odd news from Mark Kern's Ember. He's offering players who bought Firefall credits on his new upcoming game called Ember. And he was actually the guy who was the main dude behind Firefall and was one of the guys blamed for the game's failure. He's offering anyone who bought a Founders Pack or played Firefall and spent money on Firefall $10 worth of credit in his new game, Ember, when it eventually launches. Too bad this game is very early on in the process and there's almost no gameplay just yet. You can see it on the trailer in the background. It's made so little progress, but Mark Kern is, I guess, still a big name in gaming, so he could still pull it off. I'm curious to see when Mark Kern's Ember is actually going to launch. We've seen some rounds of crowdfunding, but there's so little actual gameplay at the moment. But yeah, Ember might be a thing. The next and last bit of news this week comes from Justice, also called Treacherous Waters Online, a Chinese MMORPG, which is beginning closed beta in July. I want to bring this up again. We mentioned the podcast before, but we do have a release date for it now, and I thought it was interesting because you can see the trailer in the background. This is all supposed to be in-game footage, so the graphics look absolutely gorgeous. I'm curious to see what it actually plays like, and we'll see some more player-recorded footage when it begins closed beta test later in July. But yeah, it looks really nice. Actually, one of the best looking graphics I've seen in any game. But again, this is the trailer they prepared. I can't wait to see actual player recorded stuff soon. Anyway, guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.